And you can just go ahead and get started as to, I know you guys did like a puppy training program that didn't work out.
Correct.
And what type of issues were you guys trying to work on? What were your goals with him and everything like that?
I don't feel he has any issues
Mhm.
yet.
Yeah,
We just want to make sure that he has a good recall. He's consistent with his commands.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think it's a good idea. So, for example, the jumping.
I can see he has very high food drive.
Yeah.
Yes, he is always hungry. He was underfed for a while. He had a stomach distension.
Okay.
So we have been giving him less food than he's supposed to eat, so he's very hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah, today's actually his first day on his full.
Oh, okay.
Calorie
Okay,
intake.
so he's excited.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So actually that, just because he was hospitalized and everything and that thing happened,
Mhm.
we feel that he, for example, his body training is not as consistent
Yeah.
as it was before.
Uh-huh.
His crate training is beautiful. He's very good with the crate. His recall could be more consistent.
Yeah.
His seat is pretty consistent, but it could be better.
Okay.
He doesn't know how to stay. He doesn't know how to place, which is
Yeah.
very important for us.
Uh-huh.
And his leash walking skills was horrible.
Mhm.
But we got him this micro prong maybe
Yeah.
10 days ago, 10 days ago, and he's doing very good with it.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would say, for me right now, I would say place, recall,
Mhm.
and stop the jumping.
Yeah. Just having some of that consistency.
Which is not terrible, the
Yeah.
jumping, but I feel that if we don't get it under control
When
now,
he's older.
it will, and he's so big that.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially with more like power breeds like him. Stuff like jumping and all the cute behaviors are like okay now when he's little, but definitely as he gets older, you want to have a certain level of structure. Just because to other dogs, like even like a little play bite might be something whatever, but for him, that
Yeah.
play bite could
Yeah.
do some damage to a person.
That's my
or another
concern,
dog.
yes.
So it's definitely nice to hear that you guys want that structure for him, especially considering the type of dog that he is. With the puppy program and what you guys do at home, is it all like pretty much positive reinforcement based? Have you guys used the prong collar at all for like
Yes.
the obedience? Okay.
Yes.
Well, the prong collar mostly for walking.
Yeah, for redirection. Now, when we serve his food, we
Yeah.
keep him with a prong, and he's not allowed to eat until we allow him to, because he was creating this huge commotion.
Yeah.
But we just started using it like 7 days ago.
Okay. Okay. So fairly new.
We haven't tried the e-collar though.
Yeah. So I'll say like a few things about like the different types of training and everything, and the pros and cons of certain things. So it's really good that he has high food drive, because adding in food to whatever type of training is something that we like to do, because we like a more balanced training. We're not only positive reinforcement, we're also not only like negative reinforcement
Yes.
or only using aversives. So his high food drive is going to work well for him.
Okay.
Doing the food stuff is something that is good, but with these different types of training, especially positive reinforcement, we can always expect there to be a ceiling where
Sure.
it can only go so far, depending on the dog. So for him, yeah, the treats are good.
And
It's a
right
really-
now, let me interrupt you.
Yeah, you're
What he wants is this,
Yeah, okay.
which I love, because
Uh-huh.
that's the reason I got him.
Yeah,
But but I want for him to be able to understand that he can only do this with me,
yeah.
or with my husband, of course.
Yeah.
But he rarely does it with people.
Mhm.
I am completely fine with these.
Okay.
But I know that's the reason he was jumping right now.
Yeah,
But sometimes I'm concerned that he's going to start doing it just because he thinks it's okay.
yeah. So I guess the way to like talk about this specifically, the way that I would think about going into that is we kind of allow that behavior. It's not a problem if he wants to lay on your lap.
Mm-hmm.
We would just make it more of the idea that it's on our permission rather than his.
Correct.
Because if he goes up to you and is like, come on, pick me up, and then we respond to that, that's positively reinforcing that behavior for him. So he's like, okay, when I go up to people and jump up on them, then I get to get picked up. Whereas if we make it so that jumping doesn't necessarily lead to being picked up, rather it's like, okay, like, come on up, like I'm giving you a cue.
Yes.
Then that's when we can reinforce it.
Exactly.
And that's something that can be done with a mixture of the food and prong e-collar as well.
Okay.
With the way that, like moving into the more aversive type of training where it's like the prong collar and e-collar, those allow us for more clear communication where we can work past that ceiling where like the food kind of cuts off. Just because the food is a great reward for him, but it's only a great reward in certain scenarios. Like there's always going to be something that's more important to him. There's always going to be something that's like, that's really cool over there, I want to go over there. So taking it as far as you can with food is great to start building up a platform, but at some point you are going to need the extra communication of also a little bit of the negative reinforcement.
Okay.
Where the food is like saying yes, prong collar, e-collar is like saying no. So now we can very easily give him like guidelines as to what we need him to do. You're seeing benefits with the prong collar just because it's adding in that what we would call physicality. And physicality is how dogs communicate to each other very clearly because obviously they don't have like language how we do.
Yeah.
Even from puppies, like there's tons of videos on YouTube where like a mom puppy, there's one in particular where it's like a mom, like cream retriever, goes into the playpen with all of her puppies. They're all too much energy, jumping on her, not giving her any space. So then she goes for a correctional bite on one of them, and then they all settle down. And this correctional bite, she's not trying to hurt them. She's just trying to say like,
Sure.
okay, like stop, that's enough. And from that young of an age, when they're just like small babies, they are already understanding that this physicality is going to be a way to tell them no. And this would apply to any other dog. If there's a dog at the dog park, one dog runs up to go take its toy, they're like, no, I don't want you to take my toy, so they go for that correctional bite. We obviously wouldn't trust dogs to be in charge of that, just because our dogs are going to make mistakes, we don't want anybody getting hurt. But we're taking that same mentality and putting them into these tools like the prong collar, which is in some way simulating that physicality of a dog bite when he's doing something he shouldn't be. So when he's pulling ahead of you, you're adding in that pressure, and then he's moving with the pressure and saying like, okay, when I walk away from mom or dad, something good's not happening, I'm not going to walk away from them anymore. And you can usually see like a big change of behavior once you start adding that in, because now you're just kind of completing the communication style.
Yes. Oh, we already say it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's good. And it's very nice that you've started him on prong collar now at a young age, because that makes it very easy to move into other forms of pressure like the e-collar, which can be more complex for them to understand. But with a background in the prong collar, now it's familiar. It's more familiar to where they're understanding like pressure. They're understanding like moving with
Sure.
it.
Do you think his neck is really thin? I mean, it's part of the breed. Do you think he's going to be okay with any collar?
Yeah.
Right now.
We have all
Yeah.
different sizes,
Okay.
and you can also adjust like the strap to a very specific size. So we have a few Dobermans that have done the e-collar with us, and like their necks are pretty thin, and then we just tighten it to the point it needs to be, and then you can like cut off the extra length of the strap if it's too
Okay.
much.
And they will never sleep with it, right?
No, not unless there's a specific issue
Okay.
that's happening overnight and you want to have it on them. Then we would also suggest something called comfort pads.
Okay.
So the contact points in the collar can be removed and switched out with different types of
Okay.
pads. So comfort pads are going to be more like smooth and for a longer duration of time, so that way it's not irritating their necks while they're like sleeping or anything.
Okay.
So if he had issues overnight, that's something you can do, but if he's not having any issues, then we don't need it where we're not going to be using it. You know what I
Okay.
mean? With the e-collar, the reason why we focus on that for our adult dog form of training is because we find that it's the most like benefit for the type of training that it is. So prong collar is really good with a lot of things. It's good at introducing pressure. It's good at having that easy, immediate control, like if you were to just run in a certain direction or something. But the point at which it falls flat is we can't really move to off-leash with the prong collar because we need the leash to be able to make the correction happen. The prong collar is going to be different between whoever's using it. So when you use the prong collar, it might be a different feeling for him than when you use it. So then he could be learning different rules for different people. And with the prong collar as well, there's still that ceiling where even if you, for some reason, have to correct like as hard as you can with it, maybe that's still like, he doesn't care. Like maybe he's gotten used to it to the point where he's like, whatever. So now we're reaching a point where it's like, we can't get through to him necessarily if he's that stubborn with certain things. With the e-collar, we have the benefit of moving towards that off-leash reliability. Even if you never are trying to have him off-leash, sometimes, you know, life happens, you may drop the leash, the prong collar may like snap open or something might happen, but having that off-leash recall available to you is something that we value like very highly.
Sure.
And then, as far as the ceiling, we have never really seen like an e-collar not be enough for a dog, especially with a dog like him that doesn't have like intense like aggression issues or something like that. I think his stuff is very obedience based, so there's no like reason to believe that the e-collar wouldn't be making sense to him in that way. And the e-collars that we use are very professional grade. They're used with like police dogs, military dogs, like dogs who have like their careers and everything. And there's different types as well. So there's, for smaller dogs, we recommend like there's a smaller collar that has a lower power range, and then there's also like a higher power range as well. For him, as like a power breed, I would recommend going with one of the higher power collars, either there's like a medium one that I'm thinking of, and then a higher one. Just because right now, he's gonna be working at lower numbers, but maybe when he's older, then he's gonna have that like toughness to be like, okay, these numbers don't matter to me anymore.
Okay.
Any questions so far before I continue?
No, as you can see, he's underweight.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's going to affect any of the training in terms of, I don't know, his energy levels or
Yeah.
how fragile he is right now?
No, as long as we're like consistent with feeding him, it can actually kind of work to our benefit a little bit, because right now, since he's underweight, like he probably wants to eat a lot.
Yes.
So that food drive is gonna make a big difference when doing the e-collar, because some dogs come in and they don't really have a good food drive, and we still do the training with them, but it's a little bit more like focused on the e-collar side rather than
Got it.
incorporating the food, because
Yes.
they don't care about the food.
They don't care about that.
But he cares about the food, so it's gonna be very easy to get him to pay attention and move with things, because now it's not only the reward of the pressure of the e-collar turning off when he moves with everything, now it's the reward of also getting something he really wants, which is the food. So that would actually work like very much in our benefit, to where he should pick up on things a lot faster even. So I wouldn't worry about that. And then it's also like he gets to like eat more throughout the day, which is like nice for him to space the meals and everything.
Okay.
As far as implementing the e-collar and everything, what we would do is you're having him do it like a board and train, right? Or that's what you're shooting for?
Yes, 2 weeks.
Okay. The board and trains, the benefits of that is that since he's here with us for a lot more time in a shorter period, we have trainers like myself and some of the other trainers constantly working different sessions through him throughout the day. And that is gonna like speed up the training very fast, because we already know certain things that we're looking for. We already know if certain issues pop up, like how to handle them quickly. So that's why with a program like that, we're able to go over all of the 6 like basic commands very quickly, which is going to be heel, sit, stay, down, recall in place. with 2 weeks, since he has that much time with us, the first week, we will be working on the e-collar commands all on the short leash, like how he has right now.
Mhm.
And we can still incorporate the prong collar,
Mhm.
especially for the type of dog he is. It's nice to have both available on a walk, because the e-collar will be beneficial for all the obedience stuff. But let's say you round a corner and maybe there's a dog right there that you weren't
Mhm.
expecting. So instead of spending your time trying to turn the knob on the e-collar and address it that way, maybe you want that quick immediate control with the prong collar, so that way you're just like, okay, move away from the dog and then address whatever you need to address. So prong collar, e-collar work very well together for having the most control on a walk, especially with a larger dog that he will be when he grows up. The second week of the program is going to be transferring all the commands to...
I'm sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah, you're
but
good.
let's say that one day we want to walk him without the e-collar.
Mhm.
Is that going to be okay?
Yeah, so you can do whatever you like as far as when you use the e-collar or you don't. Just keep in mind that if there is a situation that you need to address and you don't have it on, you might be in a more like disadvantaged situation.
Okay.
So a rule of thumb that I always recommend to people is that when you're outside, and I do this with my dog too, I always just have the e-collar on, even if I'm not planning to use it.
Okay,
Just so that way it's available to me in case I feel like I need to use it. Like I can still do all the commands with him, like I can do recall and not use the e-collar, but it's still on him just in case there's that weird thing that maybe happens, like an ambulance goes by and maybe that like spooks him a little.
yes.
So I still have a way to make the command happen in case he's
Okay.
deciding not to.
Like an unpredictable reaction or
Yeah.
something, okay.
Mhm. So that's the way I would view it, just because I think just having that extra guarantee there is nicer for myself to give the dog his freedom, but also I just know that like anything that happens, I have it ready there, but I'm not necessarily using it the whole time.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yes.
So outside, I would always recommend having it on and available to you. Inside, it's more on when you need it. So if you feel like you're needing to address something and you're wanting to work on a specific thing maybe, you can throw it on him, do whatever you need to do with it, and then after that, you can take it off and he's, good to do whatever
Okay.
he would normally do.
Like for example, if we have people visiting or something, that would
Yes.
be something that would
Mhm.
help with the place or something like that?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay,
That would be like a very beneficial time to use it because one, you can work on other commands while the people are over, so that way you're having him a little bit of structure. And also, we can use the e-collar to help manage his energy if he's too amped up when they come in. So we see a lot of the times, people use the e-collar for guests are coming in, maybe he's really excited, he runs up and is jumping on them. Okay, we want to address that, so we already have the e-collar on him, it makes it very easy. Then when everything's chilled out and the guests are inside and he's fine, well, then we don't need to use the e-collar anymore. You know what I mean? So that's exactly the way that you would use it. Just whenever you're needing to inside the home,
okay,
and then I just recommend having it on outside just in case.
okay.
With the second week of the program, since we have more time with him, we're able to take it a step further and now transfer all the commands to using a 30-foot long leash. So it's getting that practice of what off-leash would look like for him, but we still have some type of control just because, we need to see that consistency a little bit long-term before we just have him off-leash. So doing all the commands on the long leash is a little bit different than the short leash, and he's going to make more mistakes when that time comes, but at the same time, we're now getting him used to the image of what it would be like to walk at your side without seeing a leash there.
Mhm.
The image of him maybe being in a down all the way over there while you guys are over here, and he shouldn't break that down.
Mhm.
So we're able to take it that extra step further with that second week. And then for each week, when we're going over the commands for the first time, you would get a video of us doing the commands with him so he could see his first time reaction to everything, how we're working him through certain things, and how we're making progress with him and everything.
Okay.
Any questions with that so far?
No, do you have any questions?
Okay. In addition, with that program, just so that way we can help make sure everything transfers correctly to you guys, is we also include for the 2-week, 4 hours of in-person follow-up time. So that can be split up however you like. Maybe when you come and pick them up, you want to schedule 1 hour right away to go over something specific.
That same day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking
Mhm.
about that.
Normally people do heel, just so they get that heel command with the walking out of the way at the beginning, and they can practice that right away. And then those other 3 hours you could split up however you like. So maybe you want to use 1 hour down the line at the park to work on recall, because his recall is maybe not as good as you'd like it still. And then we can show you how to work through recall, make it as reliable as possible, and exercises and everything at the park in a realistic setting. And then maybe you save the rest, but down the line you find that, okay, he's starting to get bigger, he's still jumping on people at the door, I want that to stop. When I try and use the e-collar, something's not making sense to him, can you guys help me with that?
Okay.
You can schedule an in-home session where myself or another trainer would come and help you do exercises at the door to teach him to give space at the door and not rush up to the guests, and basically let the guests come to him. And when the guests get to him, then he can say hi and do everything like that.
And then if he's very consistent with his place command,
Mhm.
do you think that will solve the issue of doing that?
Yeah, so,
I mean, he's not doing it right now. I just
yeah.
don't want for that to happen.
Mhm. So there's 2 ways of going about using the place. You're saying using the place command like if people are coming in, so that way
Correct.
he keeps his.
Mhm.
That's something that you can do. One thing I would keep in mind when doing that is technically we're never addressing the behavior of him jumping at the door. We're just kind of giving him another job to do.
Okay.
So you can do that, but I would just keep that in mind that if you don't have him on place one day and people come in, he might still have that mentality of like, I want to jump on them, like this is
Yes.
exciting. It's personal preference. We have some people who just like to have it as the place command, and that's like the main focus. There's some people who really just want to address the jumping at the door so that that issue, like isolated, is taken care of. But again, it's personal preference. So if we were to go with the option of having him be on the place bed, what you would want to do is just make sure that that command is really consistent, really important to him, so that way when guests come in, that distraction of the guests coming in is not as important as him making sure that he's following through with this command here.
Okay.
If you wanted to, down the line, maybe more address the jumping at the door, just so that way you didn't have to like remember to put him on place every time somebody comes
So
in.
what you mean with that is that he comes, he says hi, but in a very polite way.
Yeah, so the
Okay.
way that I would look at it is, there's basically like, you would have like an imaginary like barrier at the door, to where it's like, okay, I know that he shouldn't come past this barrier.
Okay.
Like, people come in, they do what they do, and then he should just be chilling in the living room. He
Okay.
can walk wherever, but he's in the living room.
Okay.
And then, when somebody comes up to him in the living room, okay, now he's saying hi because they approached him. That's a more like direct way of addressing the excitement at the door. It's usually what we recommend for people who want to have that kind of taken care of long term, but some people just like doing the place command more.
Okay.
The way that I would look at it is that normally we recommend to not use obedience to address behavior issues.
Mhm.
So a good analogy is that obedience for us is like stuff you learn in school, like math, science, social studies, all that stuff. Behavior is like morality, where it's like you don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, don't like kill anybody, to where we wouldn't necessarily use like stuff you learned in school like that to teach like morality in the same way. With like, this is just stuff you don't do, this is like stuff that
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So with the place command, that's more obedience, where we can make the obedience good enough to where he doesn't break the command, but at the same time, he's never learning that the excited jumping at the door is like not a good thing that we want. So it's up to you how you want to go about that, but we would still give you the tools to address it at
Sure.
the door if you would like to.
Okay.
Any questions with that?
No?
Okay. And then with the kennel stuff, you said he's really good like in the crate at home.
Yes.
What,
The only thing that he would need is a bed because he's so skinny
yeah.
that we're concerned about his his joints,
Yeah, that
sleeping
makes
on the
sense.
floor.
Mhm. Yeah, that wouldn't be a problem. There's another Doberman that comes here, and we also put like one of the raised beds
Yes.
in there for her.
Okay.
Just because, yeah, they are a little extra bony, so we
Mhm.
wouldn't want them getting those like sore spots.
Yes.
But yeah, that wouldn't be a problem. With the obedience stuff, as far as like goals you're trying to get with him, like what would you say you're trying to like reach with the training? Just consistency in the basic commands, or is there like do you see yourself maybe trying to do like off-leash hikes with him or something? Like what's your, I guess, vision
No,
of him?
no off-leash. Originally, when we enrolled him in his previous board and train,
Mhm.
our goal was making him a service dog,
Okay.
so he could do the pressure therapy at night and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I know we have a long way to go.
Uh-huh.
So I would say that that was our goal.
Yeah.
After what happened,
Mhm.
we just want for him to be a happy, obedient dog.
Yeah.
I don't want to burn him out,
Uh-huh.
but I do want for him to behave because he's going to be a big dog, and I
Yeah.
don't want for him to hurt us, anyone. I don't want for people to be scared of him. The reason we got a Doberman is because they like this.
Yeah.
They're called Velcro dogs.
Uh-huh.
I want for him to do this, but only with us,
Okay.
especially with me.
Yeah.
And especially at night, that was the reason we got him.
Yeah.
So that's my ultimate goal, that he's a very well-behaved dog during the day, and that at night, when I need him, because I get very anxious at night,
Mhm.
he can do that.
Okay. Yeah. Have you noticed like any issues with him as far as like anxiety from his side or nervousness in general?
The only thing that he doesn't like are mops.
Mops?
Yes.
Okay. That's something that could actually be like addressed too, if you wanted him like comfortable around like mops, is we would just be basically getting him exposed to it, and
Mhm.
if he has a negative reaction to the mop, we would just correct that behavior and say like, hey, the mop's there, but don't like go for it. Don't be afraid of it. Don't attack it or anything.
Correct.
And then repeating that over and over again, like throughout, a few days, weeks, he should understand that, okay, like this mop is here, nothing's gonna change that. I'm not gonna go for it. When I go for it, like then something I like doesn't happen, so I'm just gonna let it be there. I'm just avoid it.
Yes.
And then that avoidance is what we would be looking for initially. And then as he gets more and more comfortable, he's gonna start to realize, I don't have to avoid it, like it's just there.
Yeah, because it's pretty annoying every time we.
Yeah, it's like the Olympics every time I got a pass.
Yes.
Oh, he
It's-
goes for like biting it and stuff?
Yes, and it's the only
It's actually the
thing.
head of the mop, like he doesn't
Yeah.
mind the vacuum
But
cleaner.
he saw you or someone were walking with a mop now, and he wasn't happy at all.
Okay. Yeah, one thing that could actually be, because I know that sometimes dogs can get confused with a mop, and it's called a flirt pole. Have you guys ever seen,
Oh, that's right.
like when they drag it on the ground?
Yes.
So he might just have like really good prey drive.
Yes.
So he might be thinking that that's like a flirt pole.
You're
we-
absolutely right.
Yeah,
Yes.
we can still differentiate that for him, but maybe that will also make you guys feel a little bit better. Like, he might not hate the mop, he might just like really like the mop actually. Whereas
Okay.
like, he wants to like chase it and
Okay.
catch it.
Yeah, I don't know if I can tell you that there's a negative or a positive reaction to the
Yeah.
mop.
But there's
It's just
a reaction.
annoying of him going to
Yeah.
the mop, that's,
Yeah,
that's
that makes
really
sense.
it.
My dog was the same way with a few things in the house, and like I had to spend some time working that out with him, cause
It's so weird.
yeah,
Because he's indifferent to other dogs.
Mhm.
Like, he's doing better with cyclists and joggers. When he was like maybe 1 month ago, he was a little bit reactive.
Mhm.
Now he doesn't care. Birds, but with the mop, that's
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Like, I feel like he has the high food drive, he has high prey drive, which is
Mhm.
really
He
good.
does.
Like,
Mhm.
we love to see that, especially with the more working breeds like him. That just kind of shows like a healthy dog. But yeah, definitely setting up a little bit of structure so that way he's not tearing apart your things when you're trying to clean.
Yeah.
But that would be very easy to address. It's just like adding in that communication of like yes for certain things, no for other things.
Okay.
Was there anything else in specific that you guys were having issues working on with him, or that you were trying to reach with him?
No, not really.
Okay. Yeah, so a lot of this just sounds like the basic obedience and consistency. The only thing I would say is just keep an eye if he's having any like nervousness or anxiety with doing the stuff like sleeping with you guys and all that, because sometimes we find that when they're young, for certain dogs, and not all of them, sometimes that can build up some anxiety, separation anxiety, to where it's like, okay, if I'm not sleeping with mom one night, now I'm having a big issue.
Oh,
So
he sleeps.
he's not sleeping with us yet.
Uh-huh.
He's crate trained.
Oh, you're
And-
having him in the crate overnight.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, he
loves
sleeps on his
crate.
crate.
Okay, perfect,
Yeah.
He
perfect.
is super crate trained. We even put him in the crate when we're home, so
Yeah.
he gets used to it.
That's great,
We
yeah.
play music for him,
Yeah, no,
and he.
the crate for him is not a punishment. He knows
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
his little cave.
Okay, that's
You know,
perfect then.
No, no,
yeah.
he's
Yes.
very good with it. You say inside, we say it in Spanish, or maybe when you try it now in English might be different.
Yeah,
But he just goes in and there's no problem with
Yeah,
that at all.
and my goal would be when he's an adult for him not to sleep in the crate. But right now he's doing very well with it.
okay, that's great then.
Mhm.
That's like really good to hear. Because a lot of owners, when they get like a new dog right away,
Yeah.
they're like glued to them, which it
Yeah.
makes sense, especially he's a very cute puppy.
Yeah.
But having that structure right off the bat is setting him up like really well for the future. So that's
Yes.
really good to hear. Normally that's like the number one thing that people will make mistakes
Yeah.
on.
And he also doesn't react, like he doesn't start barking or anything like that. He'll cuddle with us for a little bit, he'll start falling asleep and I'll just put him into the crate and we're good to go for the night.
Mhm.
Perfect. Okay, that's really good then. That's awesome. That's good to hear. Well, yeah, it sounds like he's like will have a pretty easy time with everything. I mean, I don't see any like behavioral issues that really need addressing other than managing some excitement. But he's a puppy, so
Yeah.
that structure is just
Honestly, compared to other dogs that we've had,
yeah,
he's very easy.
yeah.
He's very easy.
Yeah, he's a good dog. That's having that drive and everything is good. And the excitement is to be expected, and it's just having those like basic like manners, like kind of I guess I would explain that.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean a 2-week board and train I think would be perfect for him because you're getting that initial training and then an extra week to really solidify everything for like a longer distance to just set you up for the future. And then 4 hours should be enough time to like work on whatever you want to work on or if anything comes up in
Okay.
the future.
And how many hours per day do you think you will spend on training, more or less?
Yeah, so the way that we do it is each training session is going to be about 20 minutes. We
Okay.
find that they work better in smaller spaced out
Mhm.
sessions, just so that way he doesn't get too overwhelmed by like long sessions.
Sure.
And we would rotate them in with our other daycare and training dogs and everything, like doing play group, all that stuff, treadmill too, when he learns.
So with him, we're not doing the treadmill because of the underweight.
Yeah, then we don't have to.
Okay.
It's personal preference for the treadmill. And then, as you saw the beds in the main room, he would be doing duration work too with the other training dogs where you're just practicing like being in a space where there's a lot of stuff going on and managing his excitement. And then normally the way we do it is it's going to be like an hour of activity and then an hour of rest, so to keep it
Okay.
balanced. And then in between that, we'll do like maybe a session before play group, a
Okay.
session after play group, rest, a session again, maybe onto the duration mats, and then that would be considered also resting, but like more of an active rest.
Yes.
Do another session and then have them go in like full-on rest, like in this kind of.
Okay.
And that's how we would be spacing it out. So multiple sessions throughout the day into the evening, since he's gonna
Okay.
be boarding here. And then he would have dinner, probably another session before bed, and then he would go to sleep for the night.
Okay.
Normally the schedule for him is gonna be like changing a little bit each day depending on what dogs we have here, what type of play groups we have going on. So he might play earlier one day, he might play a little later another day. But either way, it's gonna be the consistent 20-minute sessions throughout the day. Usually we try to get like 5 in before dinner and then like another 2 like around the dinner time and after dinner.
Okay.
So that way he has time to let everything
Yes.
sink in, but he's also getting that repetition over and over again.
Okay.
Perfect.
Any other questions with that?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. I know that everything is being set up like pretty fast with you guys, so normally, I would say that like we would send you an email and reach out, but I think you guys are already setting things up with Elizabeth.
Yeah, I will definitely reach out to Elisa because we're leaving on Sunday.
Okay.
So we will need to bring him on Saturday.
Okay, yeah, that's fine, that shouldn't be a problem, because we only have like one other board and train right now,
Okay.
so he'll fit into the schedule very easily.
Oh, that's great.
Other than that, did you guys have any questions?
No, if I think of something, I'll let Elizabeth know.
Yeah.
Do we bring him his colors or no?
Yeah, so you can bring him with his prong collar, with his flat collar.
Okay.
We'll incorporate the prong collar as well, just so he gets comfortable with having that on while we're doing the training. So we're keeping things very consistent for him.
Okay.
But the training is not going to be prong collar focused. It will
Okay.
just be there so that way you have, again, just a quick way to
Yeah.
have control of him in case in the future when he gets bigger.
Okay.
If you're not like fast enough with the collar or something, like you still have
Sure.
that extra step of control.
Okay.
And then, other than that, I mean, it's just like the food and everything. We have toys and stuff here for him if we're gonna be playing with him
Okay.
and everything. And then we'll use one of our dog beds too,
Okay.
just because sometimes when owners bring their own, if they're not like as
They
sturdy,
would bite,
they'll bite it.
Yeah.
So this one at least, we know it's not gonna break or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I think just like the food, we'll have the e-collar here for him. So you don't have to worry about like getting one and bringing it.
Okay.
And then, I think that might be it, unless he has anything specific. I can see that his ears are still healing, so if he has any, like
Well,
medicine.
his ears are
We-
100% fine.
Oh, okay.
They're just posted to get it fixed up.
Yeah.
But no, there's no, it's
So
just
yeah,
tape. This
worst
is-
case,
okay,
if
yeah.
the tape starts coming off, it will be a matter
I
of
will
bring-
tape him, we will tape him on Saturday morning.
Mhm.
It might come off on day number 10.
Okay.
Just take it out, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We'll put it back up.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah, that shouldn't be a problem then. We'll just keep an eye on him and let you guys know.
Okay.
Other than that, I think that's pretty much everything.
Okay.
The only thing left to do would just be to just confirm everything with Elizabeth, and then he's ready to come in whenever you guys are ready.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Yeah,
for
no
your time.
problem, no problem.